Liberty fans, I think, can sense it right now.
To go, inbound to Weatherspoon with one. Weatherspoon puts up the three. It's no good!
The Liberty Flames are still dancing.
Fan the flame to the biggest victory in school history.
Georgia to inbound, gets it to AC. Deep three, pull up. He banked it in! He banked it in!
Shot at the buzzer.
Good! It's good! It's good! It's one more!
Larry Blair, reverse layup, up and in, and he's fouled.
Man, you talk about degree of difficulty.
With two, Georgie at the buzzer. Got it! He got it!
Darius McGee, a game for the ages.
And Liberty wins 4 games in the Big South Tournament to take home the 2013 crown. Look at Bio Baxter Bell.
25 for Colin Porter.
Holmesley, splash.
Shiloh Robinson with an effort play.
And Liberty keeps on coming.
A huge basket by Kyle Rowe.
Got it! Pacheco with the 3. Liberty, put your dancing shoes on.
Well, hey, what's going on? Welcome into the AC of Red Basketball Podcast. It is the most wonderful time of the year. And sorry, folks, we've been trying to do shows, but we all got like a million kids, and it's hard sometimes. But we make it work on a week like this as we get ready for the Conference USA tournament. As always, AC of Red Podcast proudly sponsored by Jason Porter Real Estate, covering all of your residential and commercial real estate needs in Lynchburg and beyond. John Manson, how we doing, my friend?
We're doing a lot better now that we got a 3-man team up here, and it's not just a 2-on-2 show.
Yeah, well, you've been doing a great job, John. You've been doing a great job doing these solo videos. I've enjoyed watching them, all kinds of great insight for us. But good to have the whole band back together. Joel Vanderpool, Liberty legend, someone who knows something about winning some conference tournaments. How we doing, my friend?
Good. Been busy. I'm glad to be back. I missed you guys. I love talking about Liberty hoops. So I'm at home right now. I'm great. Feeling at home. That's what I meant.
Well, it's been a wild season. It's been a good season, right? Anytime that you win a conference by 4 games, I think it's probably a pretty good season. So we start off with, it's a good season, but let's kind of just recap how wild this year's been. So Liberty starts off, they win the Field of 68 showcase. Where our vibes were through the roof. I mean, you dominate FAU and Charleston, 2 programs that have been perennial pretty good. They end up being maybe not so great. Then you go down to Orlando and just had a really bad performance in a tournament, kind of left some games out there. You go to NC State, and one of the ugliest performances we've ever seen in Liberty basketball history. There's no sugarcoating it. It was brutal. But then what do? They turn around and they beat Dayton, one of the best wins, I think, in program history, going on the road and winning a game against a team that had won 30 straight non-conference home games, a really good program. They don't want to be called mid-majors, but if they were, they'd be one of the top mid-majors. And then you want to go on this crazy win streak through Conference USA, and then you kind of flutter down the end. I say all that. It's been a wild roller coaster of a season, but none of it matters now. It's a whole new season, right? Is that kind of how we're feeling?
Yeah, I mean, you got 3 losses out of 4 games in 2 different stretches. You had that back in November around Thanksgiving, the Orlando tournament, and NC State. And like you said, Nick went on a 17-game win streak out of that. Then we lost 3 out of 4 here late in the conference season before the regular season finale win over Sam Houston. And, I was thinking about it today, like, you could make an argument that this year was the best regular season in school history. I mean, to win Conference USA, last year's Conference USA was obviously better than this year's Conference USA, certainly at the top. But to win Conference USA, maybe the second best league we've ever been in, to last year's Conference USA, we won it by 4 games, and we beat the second place team twice. So, we would have had the tiebreaker if we needed it. So you almost won it by 5 games. You could make the argument, and the Dayton win, like you mentioned, you could make the argument this is the best regular season school history. But, like you're saying, Nick, it really doesn't matter. And look around college basketball. I mean, we've already had, 3 or 4 champions crowned, and a lot of other mid-major and low-major leagues are getting to the semifinals and championship rounds. And you've got a lot of these 1 seeds that have had tremendous seasons that have gotten upset. Belmont, UNC Wilmington, and I'm sure there's another 1 or 2 I'm not thinking about right now. But it comes down to, what are you going to do this next week? That Liberty season, success or not, will be largely defined by what the Flames do on hopefully 3 games here in the next 6 or 7 days.
I think Nick missed a large component of the season, which we didn't call out: Kentucky Christian, Carolina, and Midway. That's disrespectful.
It was. I apologize.
Hey. So it's an interesting season for me because, non-conference, you never know what you're going to get from an opponent standpoint. And I thought we did as well as we could in terms of who we scheduled and frankly, how we performed. Yeah, a couple slips in Orlando, right? But then you start getting into the conference season, and we were just winning convincingly, road, like finding a way no matter what, right? And that was like, the FIU game where it's like, well, that's closer than it should have been, but I love their coach and he gets the absolute most out of his team. And it's like, so that team's record doesn't matter because they're always going to give you your best. And then there's just these weird Saturday midday road games that are just not fun to play in, to be frank. You just showed up and knocked off 17 in a row. And it's like, this is where you're seeing having probably, 300 to 400 games combined between, actually probably more than that, with like Zach and with the big 3. And then you just, these slips just are like, whoa, like we weren't expecting that. That's so common. Not everyone's Miami of Ohio, right? So it's very common. We just don't like seeing them bunched up 3 out of 4, 75% of a 4-game stretch. And I don't think we also liked seeing how they were happening too, because the way they were happening were the way that we would admit is not how we want to see our performances trending, or maybe our performances exploited, if for lack of a better term. And so had we rewound back to our preseason pod, it would have been like, well, where can Liberty slip up? And it was essentially describing those 3 games that were kind of like, oh, like we hadn't seen those, and now we saw them in a bunch. And so it's kind of like that. You're a little insecure because you're like I know my breath stinks, and now everyone knows that my breath smells for those 4 games. But then, again, what a season finale against Sam Houston State, who frankly, it's like you would really like to have a good test at the end and not be like, oh, well, we beat Delaware by 15. We still don't know who we are, right? Like it's really good to kind of have that last one. I will say, going into the conference tournament, though, this is where transfer portal and having a group of guys that have been together for so long, like those guys have played in 4 Conference USA tournaments. I think just a 3rd in that building, maybe whatever it was, a 3rd in that building.
3rd, yeah.
So that is where you have all these transfers at all these different schools coming in, and we have guys going in who are like intimately familiar with that environment and the roof and the rain and all the things that can happen in that arena. And so I think it's premature to be like, oh, we corrected everything that happened in those 3 games because we beat Sam Houston on senior night. But you do have to assume that we have an advantage going in based on our history there and the experience that we have in this tournament with the majority of our minutes. That'd be my position.
Nick, I'll throw it back to you, but thought I had, and kind of, Joel kind of hit on it, is, this team, it feels like on Saturday, they just turned a button on and said, it's go time. We've got no more time to sit back and wait. It's senior day. We're playing the number 2 team in conference, and, we've lost 3 out of 4. We got to go. And then it almost seemed like they did that a lot of the conference season. Nick, is that something that worries you? Do you think this team has played like that at some points this season, where it's like, hey, we'll turn it on when we need to. I mean, we've seen 17-point leads get built and quickly evaporate multiple times. It happened again Saturday. And then they turn it on at the end and find a way to win. Is that something that concerns you, or maybe is it even something that gives you some confidence knowing that this team knows what it takes to get it done? They did it last year, and they should be dialed up all the way to 100 this week.
Yeah, the whole like momentum going into a tournament, I just feel like that gets so like overplayed, because how many tournaments do you watch like Gardner Webb? Like I watched the other day, they had won a Big South game all year, and then they win their tournament game. And you have teams that come in like I feel like every year, John, we do one of these shows, and there's some team in CUSA. Oh man, that team is hot right now, and they lose by 15 in the first game. So like it really is, in my opinion, as someone who just watches and consumes a lot of these conference tournaments, I just don't think momentum really plays. And Joel, feel free to tear me apart on that. I just feel like it always gets over exaggerated. The thing that concerns me is that Liberty's 260th in defensive efficiency and 357th in 3-point percentage against. Like that, those are the things that concern me, not really, how they're playing right now versus not, because over the course of the year, I feel like they've left themselves susceptible as a team that just doesn't get enough stops defensively, that if they don't score well, they could be in trouble. But Joel, I want to unpack something. This is one thing I really wanted to ask you about, because I really wanted your opinion on this, and you were kind of hitting on it. But when Liberty had like the win streak going 17 in a row, I think it was kind of easy to get up for every game because you have this like incredible thing that's happening to you. And I think like as fans, you're like, well, this is your last college season, man. You should be getting up for every game. But it's once you've like, they had wrapped up the season like halfway through, there really was not much to play for the last couple weeks of the season, other than I guess pride or whatnot. Like there's really not much to play for. Could it be like just hard for them to kind of match that intensity those last few games? Is that fair? Is that not fair?
It's the difference between how we look at it as outsiders, as fans, and how it is actually in the locker rooms and in the meeting rooms. I would say similar to your momentum thing, right? Is like there's not a guy on that team that was like, yo, we've got this regular season championship won by like February 18th. Like, so here's my point. If that were the case, you would have seen the benches be way deeper in those games. You would have seen it would have never been explicitly stated, right? That's loser talk to be like, we got this thing wrapped up. We're trying to rest our guys for a conference tournament run. Check the box scores. I doubt it looks much different in that 4-game stretch than it did in the previous 10. I could be wrong, but that is what I would look at to see if there would, and that's not even necessarily coach driven. That could be a high minutes guy being like, my hamstring's tight. Like, you know what to say to not have to go do rehab, but also play 21 minutes that game instead of 30. It wasn't happening. I'll tell you too, like I was at the Kennesaw game, one of the ones that we lost. Like that to me was just a game where we were having a hard time getting open looks. They looked awesome. We got punked physically in that game, just flat out. I think it's more overstated by people like us. Like, yeah, this thing cashed in. Like every single guy on the roster and every single coach. Because think about it the other way too, right? Like, yo, y'all, we could go undefeated. Like that's a better story, going undefeated in conference, than winning conference regular season with 4 or 5 games left. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't think that, and again, like I don't think the coaches have any talent. Like, you think Kyle Rode, if he smells that, is going to be like cool with that? Like that's also corrected by your coaching staff, also your support staff, and frankly, that I don't think there was a cent of that happening in the program.
To be clear, I was not saying that like they were actually like talking about that. I just meant like,
no, I got you. Yeah.
I meant more like subconscious. It's just harder to have that same level of intensity after you just had that really bad game against Western Kentucky. okay, well, we're not going undefeated. And like, it's not even like a thing that's ever said. Like it's one of those, like, you have a no-hitter in baseball. You're not going to talk about it,
Right.
but it's still like there. That's more what I meant.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think what is most likely is that the no-hitter in baseball, don't talk about your undefeated conference record. That was more subconscious than the proposition, not an accusation, the thought that you had.
Yeah.
Again, I was at the Kennesaw game. Like, we just got outplayed, and we got out physical. They play way better without Cobble, by the way. Like, way different basketball. They play way better without him. And one of their guys just like had his night. That wasn't like what was his name, John?
RJ Johnson.
Yeah. RJ had himself a night. But yeah, I think it's fair. I'll talk about the momentum thing for a second. The reason I think you're correct in that it gets overstated and played. It's because media outlets want to be the ones predicting things and saying things ahead of time. So it's no one's gonna, get clicks by talking about the favorite going into a mid-major conference tournament, right? They're going to get clicks by saying a lot of people aren't talking about fill in the blank. And then if that team wins, then it's like, they get to retweet that and be like, check the timestamp on it. I think that's why it's so common, because talking about a conference favorite doesn't get you many clicks.
Yeah.
You know that. You're a
Yeah,
journalist.
I'm
a big J journalist.
No, I'm in the clicks business. I'm a low J journalist. I'm like the low hanging fruit journalist. So I totally get that.
Yeah, I think another thing we should talk about too is like some of these teams had, and Coach McKay talked about it down the stretch too. They not that they figured it out. I think we have always known what the recipe is against this Liberty team. But Coach McKay talked about how they just were better than the Flames at it, being physical with the guards, running them off the three-point line. And you can go back and look. I mean, Louisiana Tech did it. Their big guy just camped in the lane the entire game, which I'm surprised that didn't happen more throughout the season.
Houston tried to yesterday too.
Sam Houston tried. Sam Houston, yeah, I think Sam Houston's a little bit of I actually think we match up pretty good with them. Hopefully this doesn't come back to bite me here in a week, but I do think we match up better with them than even a Louisiana Tech, but certainly a Kennesaw, Western Kentucky, just because of those teams, their length and physicality up front, even a Jacksonville State and an FIU, which we might play in our first game, but which I know we'll talk about. But, just those teams being able to get Caden and Brett and even Colin off the 3-point line, force them to drive. Then they got that 7-footer back there waiting for them, and they can't do anything. So they got to kick it out to somebody else. And I think it also timed up perfectly with, in a bad way, with Zach and his injury with his knee. And I know nobody really wanted to talk about it as far as the team goes, that limiting him. I wonder if you noticed anything, Joel, at the Kennesaw game, because that was right after that Western game. But it seemed like to me, just watching it on TV, that he didn't quite have that same level of explosiveness in that game, and maybe even the Jack State game as well too. But what we saw Saturday against Sam Houston, Zach and I think KC Spyron brought it up in the chat tonight. This team is best when Liberty has an aggressive Zach Cleveland from the jump. And that's what we saw from Zach early against Sam Houston Saturday. He was attacking, finishing at the rim, and that just attracts defenders. And then that's when we're at our best, because you got 4 guys shooting 40+% from 3 standing around the arc, that when they get space, it's a knockdown shot. And we need that Zach, that aggressive Zach. We also need him on the other end being aggressive, getting rebounds. Because if you go back also and look at some of those losses, he was getting 3 boards, 4 boards. We need him getting 7. Saturday, he had 19, 9, and 9. That's what we need, Zach. Not that he's going to get a triple-double every night. It's obviously not going to happen. But we need him flirting with the triple-double. If you go back and look, I guarantee you the games that we won by the largest margins and looked our best, quote unquote, Zach's averaging, 15 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. That's when this team is at its best, because those guys, Collins, Caden and Brett, they're going to find their shots, and if they've got space, they're going to be able to knock them down at a higher clip than if they're not. So, did you notice anything like that, Joel, when you were at the game?
The way that I would say it was most notable was the threes that we were being offered were stopped behind screens. So that means that Zach's setting it and Colin or Caden or Brett is being asked to shoot over Zach's defender and their defender, as opposed to Zach getting some space in the lane and then creating. There was not a lot of Zach getting the ball in that mid-range and creating from there. I frankly did not know he was, at the time, I did not know that he was bruised up, but it wasn't necessarily like, we all know Zach can influence a game without a stat line too. And so there are some games where his stat line is nothing to, notice, but he was in control of, the general on the floor the entire time. It was not that same vibe against Kennesaw, because the movement towards it was a lot of stuff outside, and then Colin and Caden are like, that's a lot to shoot over, and I'm now 5 feet behind the 3-point line, because they were playing pretty high. So it was obvious, but not in like an explicit way. It was obvious from what shots were we being presented with, and was that their defensive scheme, or was that Zach being not at his best? But it was obvious that those were the shots that we were going to be able to get, and they weren't ideal shots, and they certainly weren't going in.
Should we bring in long shots before we do the bracket? Kind of talk through that a little bit. I got a lot of thoughts on that, but let's bring in the legend himself.
What's up, boys?
Long shots, ready to dance. Little rainbow in the background, man.
It's not even the baby's room.
Oh.
It's June every month in my house. I can't believe I was just talking to John. I saw the Big South Championship was today, and I was reminded of 2013 playing that conference championship game that Sunday before was awesome, because the whole week you just peacock. Like, doesn't matter, none of this matters, because we're going to the NCAA tournament. Like, there was now there's kind of like no time to celebrate it, because if we win, less than 24 hours later, it's bracket time. So I'm thrilled to be in Conference USA, but there was something about having that week where it was just like, this is awesome.
Shout out to Grant Leonard, friend of the program. He actually came on, did a show with me and Will once, previewing. This was like back when they were like their first or second year in the A-Sun, and it was really nice and really kind to us. So shout out to them. I do, though. I tell you what, if the more years that go by where Conference USA is just a one-bid league, I'm just like, are we sure this is really that good? Like, I would have loved to have played Queens today. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Those Sunday before games, Saturday night 8:30. I'm like, I'm not looking forward. I have an event I have to be at. Like, the timing of it's just brutal, but such is life. I'm thrilled. We're in a good spot. If you would have said six months ago, hey, Liberty's going to win the conference, I'd take it, regardless of the last 5 or 6 games. We're exactly where we want to be, and I'm thrilled that we've gotten this ride and getting to see these 3 players specifically, but this whole team, and like you said, hopefully go out on top.
You like the week before conference tournament?
I did. I liked it. I know that's small major business.
Yeah, it makes you feel like lesser than. That was my challenge, is like, this is when like the small schools play.
Yeah,
that's the way we always felt.
The problem is no one cares about our tournament, though. Like, you're like the 17th tournament, among, like, you know what I mean? Like, 8:30 Saturday night, how many people are going to be watching the Conference USA Championship versus if it would have been Sunday at 2:00? I think every college basketball sicko is watching Queens and Kark go at it in overtime. But
it was big sicko day for college sports. Big sicko day.
Yeah, I liked the week before. I really did. I didn't, for personal reasons. My wife's birthday is March 7th, so moving into the second week has been great for my marriage. There's been an electric thing for that. But in terms of just like the whole. I think it's better to play on the first week.
But at the same time, though, a lot can happen in a week. Like, just from a standpoint of like you win, and you're on a plane, 24 hours later, like the routine, because then as a coaching staff, you're like, all right, what do we do? When do they have to be back? How long? Because it's spring break, right? It's like then it's how long are they practicing for? Are we going to make them practice Monday through Saturday, going up until selection Sunday? It's just kind of a weird week.
I think it was Gonzaga one year. They scheduled like a non-conference game on like the Saturday that all the big tournaments were playing to try to like have because they play their championship on Monday or Tuesday, and they scheduled a non.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, you are allowed. It seems weird, but yeah, you are allowed.
There's no rules.
There's
Midway could get some more cash in the bank if they just played all the early tickets.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed a lot watching basketball this weekend, non-Liberty, non-Conference USA, there's a lot of Liberty-related parties on some of these other schools across mid-major basketball now. I mean, obviously in the A-Sun, the Big South, and watching Owen, he and the Panthers got it done. And then Joe Pierre, former assistant, he's at Furman. I think they're playing right now. Trying to get a championship game, and you got Caillou at Bradley. I was pulling for him and the Braves.
Dollar athlete of the year too.
Yeah, it's all over the place. And I mean, Queens, like our former head coach's name is on their court, so it's just a lot of Liberty connections across mid-major basketball now.
Shout out Dale.
Why is he on the court there?
He either founded or resurrected the basketball program there. And so when they went Division I and opened a new arena, his signatures on the floors, Dale Air Court.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is awesome,
really
Richie.
cool.
You should have known that.
He won a lot of games there too.
Forgive me, hand up. I gotta be better. It's not like I just had a baby or anything.
How's that going?
Talk to me when you get 4. Talk to me when you get 4, Richie.
You guys crazy people to have more than one. It's going great. I can't recommend enough to live in a state that has paid paternity leave, and to take that in the middle of March Madness. Yeah, March Madness, the Winter Olympics, new Harry Styles album. It's just everything I need just aligned during these 2 months. The worst part about it is that I have to go back in April.
I need a cost of living chart versus Ohio and sending that over to me.
It's not
compare the
I'm not going to sit here not cheap by any means. So with the fact that I get this as a kickback, worth the headache. And
that's
at the end of
Richard, that's how they get you.
Yeah, that's how they get
You're still in the negative, dude.
Yeah, I'm still in the negative. But listen, I don't have to pump my own gas.
Yeah.
That's that in the winter months. That itself is a huge selling point, which always led to an issue. Every time I would have to pump gas in Virginia, I'd screw something up. Like I would just habitually leave the gas cap. I'd take it out, put it on my car, but just drive away, no gas cap.
Did you ever drive away and try to yank out the whole gas pump?
No, I'm not that stupid. I got a 3.4 over here. I'm not a moron. But gas cap weekly. Like I'd go into O'Reilly Auto Parts and buy 3 at a time, just stash them because I knew that it was just I was doomed.
This is exactly what everybody's tuned in for.
There's at least 3 people was like long shots, click. But in the same breath, 4 might have gone long. All right, I'll turn it back on.
It's at least it's at least a
net
break
game.
even.
It's a break even.
I look at, and that's all I'm just striving to be. I don't want to hurt the program.
Well, since we have you on here, I mean, it feels like it would only be appropriate to pull this up.
So chip on the shoulder.
Liberty not favored. I got to be honest. Like this came out. It didn't really shock me that much because they basically these tournaments just copy and paste KenPom, and Sam Houston's 6 spots ahead of Liberty. I'm not really worried about Sam Houston. They're on the other side of the bracket. I'm going to double down on this take because I did this all year last year and it got foiled. But it's so rare that the 1 and 2 end up in the championship. So it's like, so I wouldn't even worry about them. I just worry about, this sounds like coach speak, but I would literally only be worried about Missouri State and FIU right now. I mean, like, the rest of it doesn't matter. Long shots, though. Were you shocked at the 310?
If I feel like if you would have looked 3 weeks ago, Liberty was right at even money, maybe even minus in some places. Like you said, I think they just take that KenPom and they go from there. And I always try to tell people, odds are not reflective of percentage to win. Odds are designed for them to make money. So if someone comes in and puts $500,000 on Western Kentucky, that's going to change Western Kentucky's odds. Like, those odds are going to go from plus 700 to plus 200. So it really is designed for them to kind of take in money. So it is something that I think is going to change. But like you said, I think it is reflective of that KenPom of where is everything at currently. I think it's the perfect chip on the shoulder. I mean, last year we saw Liberty had 0 players make the all-conference team, and it was great motivation. Now, I don't know how much Coach McKay is going to talk about gambling with everyone, but he can say, hey, you are not the favorite to win the tournament. If he needs me to make that speech to them, I will. But
you're available.
I think
I'm free. I have nothing but time on my hands until April 1st.
I think he pulls up. He starts off most team meetings with like what the future's odds are.
That'd be a great, just something to track.
You guys seen the movement?
Line movement. So if someone just put $500,000 on Western Kentucky, what are we going to do about it?
Hey, Joel.
Hayden, your over-under's 8.5 points tonight. Just FYI.
Hey, Joel, as a former Liberty basketball player, how much do you think something like that, motivation, not betting, but from getting snubbed on all conference teams, which is supposed to come out, I think, Monday afternoon, is that like a real factor, or is it something that coaches can use? I mean, in my mind, it's like, why do you need any extra motivation? You're playing for everything. The whole reason why you stayed at Liberty, the whole reason why you came back another year is for this week. Like, do you really need extra motivation?
I don't know how to answer this because I don't know if we were just in a different time or if maybe we were naive or like, obviously gambling is very different now. So like we would have had no clue. So favorites at like when we were playing, it was like any game. It wasn't like we're supposed we're favored by 4.5. Like never once. Even
that's because you guys weren't often favored by 4.5 in 2013. Sorry.
How do you take some out of this?
No, I'm sorry. That was me.
No,
I love you, Joel.
Honestly, no. I'm just. I think it's overstated, John, because like again, the coaching. It is the coaching staff's job to have players and have a culture where external motivations are not needed. Like that is your job, is to not bring it, because if you bring in external variables when things are good, then you do when it's bad. If you do, like it is quite the wild card to start using unless it's like directly at you and someone makes a quote. But like those quotes are not, I honestly do not think one time Dale Layer brought in a quote of another coach, or like external motivation was absolutely not the game. And I don't think it's a healthy way to run a program in college sports. Like now individually, is like, man, I can't believe they don't have us. Like, sure. But I don't think that is 2% of the conversation, not 20.
Well, I got the numbers here for you, Joel, for your run. You were a 10-point underdog against Coastal Carolina, 5-point underdog against.
Hey, I wonder what we probably would have been a 25-point underdog after the first media timeout.
Six-point versus Gardner Webb and 7-point versus Charleston Southern. I mean, you guys won 3 straight games.
Can you imagine if you would have rolled those money lines over?
If only young Nick Kirby would have known, I wouldn't be working right now.
I tried to tell you. What
all right,
what were we against NC? Was it
A&T?
A&T, yeah. I was going to say Central. That was probably a pick 'em, wasn't it?
It would have been close. It would have been close, I think. Give me a second here.
Do you remember who the 1 seed was, Joel?
For the conference tournament?
No, the
Louisville.
1 seed. If you would have beat A&T.
We would have played Louisville at Rupp Arena.
Wow.
A&T was a 2-point favorite. Man, they got that line right.
Did we cover?
You covered. You covered.
It ended up 2, right?
JC got fouled.
100%.
All these
No way.
years, Joel, you thought, oh man,
we thought we had
you
lost.
got it
We
done.
actually
you
covered.
got it done. There were some people across the world that were thrilled with your performance on that night. All right, should we talk about the actual bracket here? Or?
Shapes up great, I think. You guys know more than me.
Long shots. I know you got a baby, so don't feel like you have to stay on to the end.
Yeah, you guys kick me out, and you guys can talk real now.
I tried.
Thank you
can stay on to the end. I just want to give you an open exit if you need to. We don't want Mrs. Long shots to get on you. We need you in the fall.
Yeah, I'll jump off after the bracket.
Okay, all right. So Liberty will play the winner of FIU, Missouri State. These are central times. Last year, when I had more time on my hands, I actually manually changed the times for you. Yeah, it's not happening this year. So you'll have to add an hour to all these times. But FIU, Missouri State, that'll be on Tuesday at 6:30. Liberty will take on the winner. The hard thing, guys, with this bracket is you can make whatever narrative you want because all these teams have beat each other all year. It's just it really is. And I think they say that every year, oh, this tournament's wide open. I actually think it's kind of legit this year. I think every team has probably beat just about everyone.
We have beat everyone.
We have, but no, I mean, I think almost every team has beat. It's just crazy how
I know what
some teams have won. But for me, I look at this game. I know Missouri State's coming in really limping, but with all due respect to Jeremy Ballard, I would just rather face him than Konzo Martin. And that's I just think Richie's going to beat Jeremy Ballard. That's kind of
I love Konzo. That dude is
he's intense.
He is so intense. Him and Petto, I don't know who's more intense. Did anyone watch the Kennesaw FIU game? Because I don't even if those coaches probably both had heart attacks that game.
True.
Yeah.
What do you think, John?
FIU, Missouri State. Well, before we get into that matchup, maybe we'll just say take a step back and look at the entire bracket. If you would have told me 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago or 2 nights ago that Western, Sam, Kennesaw, and Jax would all be on the other side of the bracket, I'd take it. I don't care what the rest of the bracket looks like. I'll take it. I do not want to see Western Kentucky. I do not, especially after what happened last year, I do not want to see Kennesaw. I don't want to see Jax State. Even they've struggled some and lost. They went on a losing skid here recently. I just don't want to see them. Just with the history, and we've seen what those 2 games against them this year meant. So, how they came down to the end. So, first of all, I'll say I'm thankful that we don't have to see any of those teams until a potential championship game. So I really like how the bracket looks for us, just from a broad perspective. Now, as far as FIU and Missouri State goes, it's easy to say you don't want to play FIU because those 2 games went to overtime. They have a good matchup against us. I think Missouri State has a good matchup against us as well, too. So they're 2 big guys. We talked about them before on here, Osei Bonsu and Palek, however you say his name. They're good guys, and they're good players. Palek can shoot from 3, and he's got the length inside to affect us on defense. And, Osei Bonsu, RJ Jones played a lot in that game, if you remember, just from a size presence inside. So either one's going to be a tough matchup for us on Wednesday night. It's not a guarantee that we'll win. And I also think with, only 10 of the 12 teams make it. So your bottom 2 teams, no disrespect intended towards Delaware or UTEP, just by not having your bottom 2 teams in the conference tournament automatically makes the conference tournament deeper and tougher. Yeah. I was looking at some odds to win, And last year, FIU was a 10 seed, and they were the last team in the conference. They had less than 0.5% to win the tournament, according to multiple websites. Well, and again, it doesn't say much, but New Mexico State has like a 3.5 to 5% chance, depending on where you look. It doesn't sound like much, but that is a lot. So it automatically raises the bottom of the conference by, you're cutting the bottom too. So it's going to be, we've seen it all season in Conference USA play. It's going to be an amazing tournament. I mean, expect each of these games to go down to the final media timeout, the final possession or two. I'm sure we'll have an overtime game or two. It's going to be a lot of fun basketball if you're just a huge basketball junkie. But overall, I really like how the bracket falls for the Flames.
I couldn't agree more. It is biased. I do not want to see Kennesaw until it's the championship, frankly. It's just not a great matchup. I get to John's point why people would be fearful of FIU being that 2 went into overtime. I think our roster is certainly stronger than theirs, and we also won both games. So it's not like this is one. We've talked about a lot of things being understated or overstated in terms of chips, momentum, etc. Now I'm glad we lost to La Tech. That's the one where that is the one where I'm saying recent, not gimmicky. It's like that one is one that's like, okay, that was 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago. They embarrassed us at home. That is the one where you will see Liberty's best. So of all the things that I have told you guys, are we you're overthinking it. That's one where it's in the locker room. It's I want you to remember how you felt when you got embarrassed at home and everyone was telling you, 3 out of whatever. It's that one, there will be some external factors that will enter into that game for sure.
Did you see that score against Delaware that La
Yes.
Tech put up on set? I was like, what just got unlocked here from because Delaware didn't they have a chance still to make the tournament?
They had a chance depending on how tiebreakers went. They would have ended up missing out based on what ended up happening. But
they didn't know that. They didn't know that.
That was the first game of the day, Saturday. So they thought that, if they won, they had a chance. They only scored, I think, 12 points in the second half, 16 points in the second half, 81-38. So La Tech is – and, it's funny because the first game we played down in Ruston, that was the first game that I can remember in our 3 years in Conference USA. I was like, we are just the better team than them. And so I don't know what their head coach and their team has done since then, but they figured it out. They're playing obviously much better. And if they are to get past Middle Tennessee, which, who knows, they're going to have confidence knowing that they just beat Liberty and assuming Liberty was able to get to the semis against them. But they would have confidence in that game and knowing they just beat us. And they, like I said, they're playing really good. Posting an 81-38 win, your regular season finale on the road against a team playing for its, lives, right? To keep its season alive. That's impressive.
And Middle Tennessee's won 5 in a row. So those might theoretically be the 2 hottest teams in Conference USA. I have one point before we kind of just jump in a little bit more. I do think the bracket, as much as it possibly can in Conference USA, probably favors Liberty because of the top 6 teams in KenPom in the league. Middle is the only one that's on the side of the bracket. It is Sam Houston, Liberty, Western Kentucky, Middle, Kennesaw State, New Mexico State. So they are all on the other side of the bracket. But having said that, Conference USA from top to bottom, from top to in this tournament is 110 to 215 is the worst. Well, just for some comparison's sake, in the Big South, it was 92 to 361, and there's just it favors Liberty, but these teams are all so close together that it really is just a matter of who plays better, and probably in a lot of games, who hits the most 3-point shots. I think it really is that simple.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I'll say too, that Western Kentucky Kennesaw game, like that feels like whoever wins that game, I wouldn't be shocked if they're cutting down net Saturday night.
Yeah.
And then, for that team to have to lose, whoever it would be that would lose, that's just a tough way to go out because, like I said kind of earlier, is like outside of Liberty, those are probably the two teams that I would not want to play the most. I mean, Western was rolling up until this last week. They lost both of their 2 games this past week on the road, but they were rolling. I mean, they had won 4 or 5 in a row and beat Liberty by 21. They beat FIU by 20. They were beating everybody by 20-plus points, and it was just like, catching your eye, and it's like, man, I do not want to see those guys. And there was a moment there Saturday afternoon where it's like, man, they could slip into that 4 or 5 game, and I do not want to see them in a 4 or 5 matchup. So, and we've already talked about Kennesaw. So the other thing about Sam Houston is like Po' Boy King, arguably they're the best name in Conference USA, right? But also their best player. He's got back spasms. He's been out their last 2 games, and they lost both of those 2 games, obviously Liberty, and then they lost to Delaware previously. So him being out, they only had 7 players dressed up in uniform Saturday. So they're obviously got a lot of injuries. They got like 4 guys that have season-ending injuries. So credit to them and Coach Mudge for what they've been able to do to keep this thing together. But it feels like they're kind of, again, they could go on a run here this week, but it feels like they're kind of just hanging on right now. And I wouldn't be shocked if a Jack State or New Mexico State got that 7-2 or 10-2 upset Wednesday night.
As you guys might be sorry, I was distracted earlier. I had to look at the box score for this Delaware La Tech game. It's exactly what you think. I watch a lot. I ultimately end up watching a lot of games with video, and audio is tough with 3 boys, right? I was seeing the graphic though in the Sam Houston game about all of their season-ending injuries. Were those all pre-season or were they mid-season? Were they getting knocked off during the season?
Yeah, so they had 4 guys that are out for the season that played into the conference play. Some of them have been out for 12 games, 13 games.
But it's been a slow death kind of.
But Justin Begg, who is rated as their best player on KenPom. I know Po' Boy King, I think, is their leading scorer who gets the headlines, but he's rated as the KenPom best player. He's only been out about 8 games. So he played when they kind of went on their run right after Liberty. They lost to Liberty, then they won 7 or 8 games in a row. He played in all of those games. Right. And then they lost to La Tech his first game out, but then they did go on and win 5 in a row. But again, I'm just not worried about Sam Houston. I'm not worried about anyone that's on the bottom half of the bracket. We get to Saturday, I don't care who they're playing. I'm going to feel good about that because we've won 2 in a row. We've clearly, I think, fixed some of our concerns, and we're in the championship, and we have Richie McKay in the championship. So for me, it's just like that top of the bracket's really the only thing I'm focused on. Let those guys all beat each other up. Let that be a bloodbath at the bottom.
There's a reason I'm not in charge of this pod, because if I was, we would do a 20-minute deep dive into the box score of this La Tech Delaware game, dude. It's incredible.
That's on a Sea of Red plus.
That's that's a parentheses club.
Joel, who was the guy? I should know this. He scored 34 against Liberty for La Tech Thursday night. I think he only scored 9 points in their win against. Was it AJ Bates?
Bates and Fenner both played. I thought both played really well against us. He had 9 on yesterday. Yeah, on yesterday. He played 30 minutes too.
Yeah. So again, La Tech beat us. Well, I mean, what was the final score? It was a 1 or 2 possession game. It was kind of close. They were late, but and Bates had
76-71.
Yeah, 5-point game. So they had an all-time game. And scoring 34 points. I tweeted out some of his stats going into that game. He hadn't made a 3 for 3 or 4 games. He was 2 for 34 on threes going in, and he made 6 of them. But I mean, he had it going. I mean, he had the mid-range game going, and some of that too is matchups. Like I know we had Colin Porter on him a lot, which I thought was interesting. It'll be interesting if we do play them this week, what Coach McKay elects to do as far as guarding him. Like, do you try to put a JJ on him? Because we typically put Harper on the 5-man. But do you try to put a bigger guy on Bates because he was able to just rise up over Colin? Like, no offense to Colin, he's a really good defender. He's gotten a lot better recently. But some guys are just able to rise over you, and that that size difference just doesn't affect them in their jump shots. But Bates had it going, and again, I still like our chances if we were to have to play either one of those teams, La Tech or Middle Tennessee. We're probably not talking about Middle Tennessee enough just because we only played them that one time out in Murfreesboro and we looked so good. But again, that was at the height of that might have been our best game we played all season. We just had it rolling on offense and they couldn't get anything done on the other end. So, yeah, I mean, once you get to 6:30 Wednesday night, we're all going to be nervous and on the edge of our seats, and it doesn't matter who we're playing. Same thing as you advance through the bracket.
Yeah, definitely not talking about Middle Tennessee enough because La Tech is the worst rated KenPom team in this entire bracket. And Middle's the highest in our region. So again, this isn't when you're talking 40 spots in KenPom from 160 to 200. I really don't think there's that big of a gap. I think if it's number 1 to number 40, there's a big gap, but this level, it's really, especially when you're talking about, a 30 plus game season where you have numbers that are inflated from early in the year or not. So yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot, but I do think Middle deserves a lot more credit for what they've done this year. And I don't know, you just got to get past that first game. I mean, that to me is probably what's going to make me the most nervous is just getting that first game out of the way. Last year I was so nervous about UTEP, and thankfully they just absolutely boat raced them, and we didn't even have to sweat it. But man, those first games, just because you've seen, John, I know you watch a lot of these tournaments, man. You just see these teams that's their first game. They played a team that played the night before, and that's comfortable, that already got shots up in the gym. Joel, you know about this? It's tough, just to kind of get going, and it can. You can be down by 15 points at halftime, and you're like, our season's on the line here.
Yeah, I mean, it happened in the Missouri Valley, right? Just the other day with Belmont. I mean, they were the 1 seed. They were the runaway winner in the regular season, and they played the 9 seed who played the day before, and they got punched in the mouth to start. And former Lipscomb head coach Casey Alexander's at Belmont now, and they just couldn't recover. They couldn't bounce back, and you think about that, and yeah, we do need a prayer meeting for the Conference USA tournament. Love it. Appreciate you joining us, Will. But yeah, it's crazy. It doesn't matter who we play, FIU or Missouri State. That team has zero pressure on them, right? They're playing with house money. Some of them are playing with house money just being in the conference tournament and making it to this point. And then obviously if they win a game, they feel good. And you're playing against a 1 seed. Everybody's going to be saying Liberty's a 8-point, 10-point, 12-point favorite, whatever the case may be. Where flip put your shoe on the other foot with Liberty, the Flames, defending champions. You won regular season by 4 games. You're playing the number 8 or the number 9 seed. You're a double-digit favorite. You're supposed to be playing Saturday night. Liberty will have all the pressure on them, which I guess is also kind of, I'm talking out both sides of my mouth. Coach McKay was talking the other night. I asked him about the pressure, and he said that 15-0 conference start, that 17-game win streak, we were playing that pressure on us every night. And so we learned to play with it. And then we also had it last year for those 3 games as the 1 seed in the conference tournament, and we found a way. So, and so many of these games during conference play, we talk about how we hate that they're so close and giving up these leads, but we've had to find a way to win close game after close game after close game. So you just feel like if we and when we get into a close game this week in Huntsville, it doesn't mean we're going to win, but our guys will not be rattled one iota.
I'll say this too is conference tournament week, there are hundreds of games, that might not be true, that come down to like a big shot though, right? And so even with these, like, we're up 17 and oh shoot, you look up and 4 minutes later it's tie game. It's like Colin Porter had to hit a massive 3 out of the corner yesterday. Caden, like last tournament, like, so that's where like I'm kind of like, okay, we might give up a 12-point lead. We might come back from 12, but at the end of the day, at the end of a lot of these games, there's going to be a big shot that has to take place. And we can go one of 3 directions, and apparently now 4 because Zach's hitting game winners, right? It's like you can literally depend on 3 guys right now to hit massive shots that have all done it, not like at some point we're going to call on you. They've all done it. Like, how many times does Caden need to hit a deep 3 from the right wing, right? And where it's like they're not big threes for him anymore. It's like, no, he has shot tens of thousands of those, and he has shot several of them in games, in conference, in any arena, home or away. So it's like that's where I look at too. It's like when you need a big shot, like Colin and Caden are like very consistent at. I mean, Colin, what was it? Was it the Kennesaw State game, conference championship? He hit a big 3.
Yeah, as a true freshman, on the road,
yeah.
Liberty's down by 3 with like 30 seconds left, and that was obviously Darius McGee was our guy that year, scoring 20 points a game. But it was Colin who hit that shot. Like I said, true freshman, point guard on the road in a hostile environment.
And the outcome of that game is not what we're talking about right now.
No, it's not. But huge shot. Yeah.
I have a question. So this is interesting because the way that the days and the games, it's like, well, if we're the 1 seed, why are we playing earlier than the 4-5? And I understand why, because short rests for back, so we don't have to do back-to-backs, right? But I love what what the American does, like the double, triple bye, where the number 1 and 2 are grandfathered right to the semifinal. I think it's the right way to treat mid-major regular season champions. Like, at the same time, though, boy, are you setting yourself up for an upset. You know what I mean? It's this. I mean, the same thing was a couple years ago, like in the NLCS and ALCS. Actually, Nick, you can correct me on this. It was like, wasn't like 3 of the 4 teams that won a wild card series because like it was just the rotations worked out and it was just like they were just rolling. It's like, and rest versus rust is the very obvious cliche I'm talking about here. I love what the Americans doing. At the same time, it's like, we'll see how this pans out, because if you're just sacrificing your 1 and 2 seed, not realizing how much parity there is in the league, it's just really interesting. I would love to see it, frankly, because I think it's the right thing to do by those teams. But you are setting them up for the hot team has been hot longer because they've won 2 or 3 games to get there at that point.
Yeah, one thing I'll say that, if and when the NCAA tournament expands, what I would love for them to do, they'll never do it just because they're not. They expand it so you get more SEC and Big Ten teams in. But what I would love for them to do is, you expand it 8 teams or 12 teams or whatever, and you pick a number. I don't know if it's probably 4 is as many as you'll get, but the 4 highest regular season champions that do not win their conference tournament and do not get an at-large get an automatic bid to the big dance.
Yes,
I would love that. That would put so much more emphasis on and importance on the regular season, and you put so much more. Teams like Belmont, Liberty have more than one way to get into the tournament. And you don't have a tremendous regular season, which, if we're honest, the regular season champion typically is the best team in the conference, right? I mean, these teams all pretty much – you played a 20-game schedule, and you pretty much played a very similar schedule. I know we only played some teams once and things like that, but played a very similar schedule to the other 11 teams, and you win by 4 games. Like, Liberty has proven over the course of 20 games that we're the best team in the league. Now, on any given one night, right, we could have an off night. Somebody, could have a bait score 34 against us and you lose. So Again, that's getting way off topic, but I would love for something like that to happen. I think it would enhance the NCAA tournament, enhance conference tournaments, and enhance the regular season.
That's a big brain thought there, John. I like that a lot.
How much time have you been sitting on that one? Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I know. I like that a lot. It'd be fun too. You know what? You could even make them do some sort of play-in, like those teams. They have to do a play-in. They play high majors, and so you kind of make it this whole David versus Goliath type thing. I personally think I hate it when like if they do mid-major versus mid-major in a play-in game and high major. Like I would love to have like one that you can clearly just root for. If you're a mid-major guy,
like Ohio against Auburn, let's see it.
Yeah, let's see it. Yeah, I don't get into any Miami, Ohio. That's like the day job. That's all we cover because all the other teams in Ohio stink. But okay, so a couple of things I wanted to hit on here before we wrap this up. Number one, John, kind of coming in like the defensive numbers are bad, and there's no way of sugarcoating it. For those who don't know, Liberty is ranked 260th in adjusted defensive efficiency. That's basically your points you allow per possession. Liberty's been in the top 200 every year since Richie's first year back in 2016. The last couple before that was 54th last year, so it's been a major drop off. And I have a couple thoughts on this. Number one, like it just kind of is what it is at this point. I think Owen Aquino was a much bigger loss than I think we thought. I think he was a huge piece of the defense, and then you lose Enan on top of that. It just kind of like those two things together were bad for this team. But it kind of is what it is. Like you're just going to have to outscore teams. Like if Liberty's offense is cooking, it doesn't really matter how bad their defense is because none of these other teams are even close to as talented as Liberty is offensively. So it's almost like the backwards reverse thing where you say, you're you create offense with your defense, but Liberty, like you solve your defensive problems with your offense. But Joel, like I could look at the numbers. Do you have any sort of diagnosis for why these numbers are so bad this year? Is there something in particular that just is standing out to you as to why it's fallen and why this 3-point percentage against Liberty is so bad this year?
I cannot put my finger on the 3-point. Like that's a very tough thing to put a diagnosis to. I do think that, in a weird way of saying it, we have I don't mean this in a bad way. We do have a janky lineup, and it's not like in a bad way. It is by design, but like Colin and Kate have been here their entire college career, how short they are, and they have done just fine, right? And Colin's a phenomenal defender both of them max out with what God has given them. But like you also didn't mention we lost Talon, and he was an elite athlete, like an elite athlete. JJ's a very good athlete, like obviously. But, that's kind of it. And then Zach, like, so you are asking Zach and then who is Zach matched up on? Like, because you mentioned JJ's oftentimes playing guard in the 5 because that's just how we have him. So does Owen guarded the 5 last year, right? So when I say janky, I don't mean in a bad way. I mean it from we create odd matchups. Now, that also means that we get odd matchups on the other end because someone has to guard Zach and their 5 cannot guard Zach. And so, like, it's on the offensive side, it works for us. On the defensive side, it can work against us because we're not playing a traditional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lineup. And so I think it's very difficult to get the offensive advantage via a janky. I got to find a different word. It's very difficult to get the offensive odd. You want odd? It's very difficult to get the same advantage from an odd offensive lineup and then it not have a cost on the defensive side. Last year, we had a pretty standard lineup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So your matchups then become more, I've been guarding guys like this my whole life. That is not the case right now. And so that helps us offensively because, like, who wants to guard Zach? Any takers? And it's like, my best defender is 6'4". That's not going to work. Or my 5-man's pretty athletic. Okay, well, you're about to find out how athletic Zach is. So it certainly favors us from on the offensive side, but then the defensive side, it's revealing that it can have, like, I'll use myself as an example. In the men's league I play in, the way that I view this is going to sound so arrogant. I can't let me know this.
I love it.
If I have a big guy on me, then I'm going to step out because I have a matchup there. If I have a little guy on me, then I'll go inside. I have a mismatch there, right? That's what we're able to do. Really good leagues in Atlanta, just to be clear. That's what we were able to do on offense. On defense, it can just kind of work. I don't want to say, but that also does not point to the 3-point percentage against stat that you're mentioning. I would not have a reason other than Liberty Arena is a really nice place to shoot. Like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, we basically play 5 guards. Like, we can sit here and call Zach a forward or a big man, but I mean, he has guard skills minus his 3-point shooting. And, so we're playing 5 guards. JJ Harper, he's a guard, right? I mean, he's probably played a guard or a wing his entire career. And he's shown it with his ability and his shooting touch as well, too. But so I think that hurts us a lot on the defensive end. We don't have a true rim protector. I mean, Zach has shown his ability to affect shots in the paint. JJ has. That's not really his thing. He kind of does it and help defense some. But, I mean, you get him against a 6'10" guy that's a true back-to-the-basket player, and they can just back him down, get into the paint, turn around, and shoot over top of him. And it's nothing against JJ. That's just, I'm 6'5", you're 6'10", you got longer arms than I do. You're going to be able to finish over me at a better clip.
And if you counter their big, it's Josh Smith. And that means that JJ Harper's probably off the floor, and we're saying he's our defensive guy because I think Josh usually comes in for JJ. I see a good amount, right? So if you're trading that, you're then losing that. So you might be losing your best defender to say we're not going to get torn up in the paint right now, but then you lost your best defender, which is why why he may be. He played 40 minutes. We're giving him a lot of credit for 34 points, played 40 minutes. But that's often the trade that you're making from a lineup standpoint, too, is that then Harper's playing, 25% less minutes per game if Josh's minutes are increased by that much. And it's not that Josh is like we actually haven't given Josh enough credit in the conference because he has worked himself into a very productive role. And his motor is insane. I actually think very highly of him. But that's what we're trading off the court when we bring in Josh and say, well, big boy's not going to kill us tonight. Well, JJ's minutes go down because offensively he's not at the level that Colin, Caden, Zach, and Brett are. So that's another thing that a trade-off that you're making in those games.
Nick, something you can look up. You may already have the numbers in front of you, but I wonder, like, where does Liberty's offensive efficiency numbers rank this year compared to recent seasons, specifically last year? Because, like we talked about early in the year, like this had the potential and has the potential to be one of the best offensive teams we've ever seen out of a Liberty team, and I think we've seen that. I think it's proven true, and I saw one stat. I think it was in ESPN put out this thing that says all their they predict all the conference tournaments, and their quote on Liberty said that Liberty has a chance to be the first Division I team to shoot 40+% from 3 and 61%+ from 2 in the Ken Pom era, which goes back to 1997.
And 40% from the free throw line.
Well, hey, we've gotten better at the free throw line.
70.8%.
At Kennesaw, Zach was like 10 of 12. I was like, my son was with me. I was like, because he was like, every time Zach went to the line, John Allen was like, here we go. And I was like, John Allen, he's making them all tonight, dude.
He's looked a lot better. I'll give him
for
credit.
Sure.
Actually, Liberty took a big leap this year. Went from 352 to to 241. So
my boss tells me it's not hard to jump over a dead cat, but that's
it's a 5% increase. This team ranks 57th in offensive efficiency. The school record is 54th. That was that 2019 team. But Liberty's also been 58th in 2021 and 55th in 2023. So like this is like right in that, like there's like 4 teams that are right here. I think shooting wise they're good. The problem is they don't rebound. That's the thing that's killing some of their numbers. And defensive rebounding is like 289th in the country. Liberty was number 1 in the country in 2023 in percentage of defensive rebounds. Number 1 in the country. I mean, we just did we
Son.
Who was
yeah,
that
last
team? Who was the roster that year? That was Darius, Kyle, Shiloh. That was that team.
Cuffy.
Road
Hi.
was Blake Preston was an elite rebounder. He was
Still is. I think he's in
60th in the country in defensive rebound, 56th in offensive rebound. Finn Zant was a really good rebounder for his size. JJ Harper's not a great rebounder for his size. But Josh Smith is though. Like that's the one thing that when you put him on the floor, like you might be losing, but he is able to get some rebounds.
He gets some good rebounds, and then say what you want. Caden and Colin are actually, I would say, pound for pound, like as good as it gets from a rebounding standpoint. There was one against Kennesaw where Caden was on the short corner on the far side, to the right of the hoop, and a shot went off, and it landed like, I don't know, mid-range wing on the left side, and Caden got that. I was like, that's an insane effort play for someone like him to go get that rebound. Now it's probably Zach and JJ and Josh keeping everybody off the glass and the guards scooping it up. But it's how poor we are at rebounding is not a result, in my opinion, of our size deficit, because they actually get, I would say, some pretty impressive rebounds game in and game out. Josh gets a lot of one-handed ones too. I've noticed he usually gets the one and then just curls it in. I like that.
A couple of numbers that I've been watching the last few games, and I'll be watching this week, is the differential between field goal attempts between the two teams, because we know we're not a good rebounding team. So we know we're likely going to lose that battle. We know we're going to likely get out rebounded on the offensive glass. We're likely going to lose the second chance points. But if we can keep that number, they're likely going to have more field goal attempts. If we can keep that number, within 10 or less, then we're in striking range. And what affects that, obviously rebounding, but also our turnovers. So we're typically really good in protecting the ball, average around 8 a game, which is one of the best in the country. I think we were
That's
6th
low.
in the country. And if we can, you hate to say keep it at 8 or lower, like that's such a low number, but we need to keep it at that number because of our inability to rebound or our weaknesses in rebounding. The other number is the opposing team's field goal percentage. Like if they're shooting 60% from 3 like Kennesaw did, and they're out rebounding us and shooting 15 more shots than we did, which is what happened in that game, that's an uphill battle. That's going to be hard to win that game. So if we can keep the opposing team, the magic number this year has been 50%. We're undefeated this year. I think it's 21-0 when we hold teams under 21%, and then we're like 3 or 4 and 6 when we haven't. So if we can keep the team under 50% and we keep that field goal differential within 7 or 8, we're trending in the right direction. Doesn't mean we're going to win, but we're at least trending in that right direction during the game.
The stat that affects all those things, though, is pace, right? And because if you control the pace and you're a more efficient offensive team, then there's fewer possessions, one for you to turn it over, and fewer shots for them to get. And so that's where, if you look at all the runs that these teams go on, they're never in the half court. They're always in the full court. And so that, I would be surprised if pace was not. And again, pace is something, it's like, it's not sexy to like, we're going to slow this thing down. Like it's not like appealing, but it's kind of an alpha move. But John, to your point, like the Kennesaw game where all those things were like wildly against our favor, our 3-point shooting percentage, our turnovers, it was a 1 possession game down to a minute. So it's like, even when those things are complete, like we're getting completely out rebounded, they're turning us over, they're having their senior night essentially, like from a 3-point shooting standpoint, and you're still in the game with a minute left. Like, all right, I'll take it, because that's a comedy of errors that has to happen. But if you control the pace, then you actually control all those other variables that are individual stats, but pace is the golden thread that goes between all of them.
It feels like they did play a little slower the last 2 games. I could see Richie really trying to slow it down and just say, hey, our possessions are going to be flawless on offense. You got to try to match that.
We're going to win 3 games and score 180 points in this tournament. Total. That was the good old early A Sundays. That's when the pack line hadn't evolved yet. That was when it was still the strict. Yeah.
Remember when VMI did that to us when they were scoring?
Oh, that was my freshman year at Liberty. My freshman
came
year
out in the quarterfinals, and it was like the complete 180 of what they did all season.
I love that idea, though. I love that idea, though. Just completely throw teams off in a conference tournament.
What was that, like 2007?
Yeah, 2006.
Is that Reggie Williams' year?
Yeah, they had
Yep.
and the
twins were probably freshmen or sophomores.
The Chavis twins.
Yeah, no, Holmes.
They were home. Travis and
Travis
was
right?
the first name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good old Randy Dunn. He's now head coach of the Forest Fire travel team right here in Lynchburg, Virginia.
Randy Dunn is. They still play out of the Armory?
I have no idea where they play.
Doesn't matter.
I know some of our listeners are part of the Forest Fire Association, so go Fire.
Wait, is this the semi-pro team that like Mayo and them play for? Or are you saying it's a travel ball, like an AAU team?
No, it's an AAU team.
Oh, I got you.
Youth.
it is remarkable. You look at some of these numbers that Liberty is 25-6, 17-3, and has some really bad. That just shows you how incredible this team is offensively, and does give us hope. All right, I got a couple other things, and then I will look and maybe do a quick prediction here for the tournament and our keys maybe. All right, so this is my biggest positive here going into this tournament. All right, so I was doing some digging. I try to find something that makes me feel good. You know, that's what you can do with stats. You find something that makes you feel good. All right, so for me, like I just think like Liberty, you just got to outscore these teams. You got to when I say outscore, I mean outscore per possession. Like we're not scoring 90
or more than the other team.
This guy, John, I see why you picked him. This is the guy.
No, I meant screw defense. Defense doesn't matter. We're just gonna outscore you. All right. So for me, the what I think might be the most concerning teams would be the teams that have actually played the best defensively against Liberty this year. So that's what I did. I broke it down. The teams that no team in Conference USA held Liberty under a 100 offensive efficiency, which 100 is kind of the average. So no one's done well. But the teams that have done the best were Kennesaw twice and Western Kentucky. So those two teams, one getting eliminated in their first game and then being on the opposite side of the bracket is very good. They by far have had the best defensive performance against Liberty. So that to me is, I think, the most positive. But my keys for the tournament, and then I'll give it to you guys, and then we'll do a quick prediction. My keys, number one, is just trying to rebound the best. Like, you just can't be dominated on the glass. And I wonder, too, if that three-point percentage, I don't have the ability to look at this, but I bet someone that has a more advanced analytical thing, I wonder how many of those threes have been off of an offensive rebound. Because, you always say the best three-point shot is after an offensive rebound, and that feels like there could be a correlation there. So, even
though JJ had 4 offensive rebounds in the same possession, was it on Saturday, and we went over 4 on him? I was like, goodness gracious.
I'll take my chances though.
Yes,
and then I also think this is my sneaky thing, and I wonder if Richie will maybe create some turnovers, really just try to some tip balls. You're not going to be great defensively, but if you could just a couple tips can completely change your defense. I think creating a couple sneaky turnovers and rebounding, for me, those are my 2 keys. Who wants to go?
Shooting. You got to make your shots.
Well, I mean, I think 3-point shooting is
that's the obvious one, right?
Yeah. I was trying to be a little more out.
I think I kind of already touched on some of my stuff already, right? You gotta do the best you can on defense. Like, I don't expect us to hold teams down under 50 points. Like, that's not happening with this team. But if you can keep them, under 50% shooting from the field, and hopefully we don't have anybody just go off from three against us, like we saw against Kennesaw. Even Western in their win over us, they kind of went off from three as well too. So you just got to have some quote unquote good luck go your way, and then your turnovers. You got to protect the ball. Like, Zach's good for a good 2 crazy turnovers a game, but let's keep it to 2. Let's not have
fun. They are fun turnovers.
They're fun turnovers. And I applaud him because he's 9 times out of 10, the play works. It's that 1 out of 10 that it's just like, what were you thinking? Where, the other 9 times we probably would have said that, it just worked. And he makes it look easy so many times. So keep our turnovers down and try to keep that, like I said earlier, the field goal attempts. You can't get, have other teams shoot 20 more times than you do. Like, it's just, it's just a mountain that's almost too much to overcome.
Yeah, so for me, pace is going to be the number one, just because I think when you control the pace, you control the game. And then one thing we didn't talk about was, if we go back to the earlier part of the conference during the run, where our assists were so high. It was like, they got 22 assists on 31 field goal. I was like, holy. So to me, pace and then assist to turnover ratio, and they all go together, because the turnovers are going to be how many turnovers are there to be had based on the number of possessions per game. That goes to pace. And then assists too. Longer possessions oftentimes lead to more assists on your made field goals. So to me, those two things play hand in hand. I'm also cheating the system by calling out 3 metrics that I get to call, but because one of them is a ratio, I get to go 2 birds, 1 stone. Those are the 2 things that I would look for. And I think that they are indicative of other things that are happening throughout the game, like rebounding. That's where I would be pointing my attention to this week.
We were really good against Sam Houston Saturday in some of those regards. 20 assists on 28 made shots and only 8 turnovers. That's a recipe for success.
Yeah, because too, then field goal percentage becomes, and what you shoot from 3 becomes less of a make or break for you if you're controlling the other facets of the game. It's like, if you have that many, the assist turnover ratio is who wins the game out of 10 times, right? Like, whoever wins that metric. It's kind of a cheat code, but that's what I'm looking at.
All right, let's predict the tournament. All right, FIU, Missouri State. I'm taking Missouri State.
I'm going with FIU.
FIU.
All right. Jack State, New Mexico State. Man, these are two. This could be an ugly game. There could be a fight in this one for sure.
Every time Jack State plays, there's a fight somewhere.
Well, same thing with New Mexico. Remember? And
why not the Rocket City?
Yeah, give me the Aggies.
Go Gamecocks.
I'm just gonna say Jacksonville State. I'm intrigued with that game. I think that game will be a fun game to watch. But I'll take Jack State. All right. I will take Liberty over Missouri State.
Liberty over FIU.
Liberty over FIU in regulation.
I think Sam Houston's going to lose that first game. I think I did this last year with Jack
They're running
State.
out of gas, huh?
Yeah.
Well, if you're picking it, I'll take Sam Houston, but I could see it happening.
I'm going to take Jack State beating Sam Houston.
You had New Mexico State, didn't you? No, I'm sorry. Oh, John had New Mexico State.
New Mexico State.
I think Jack State's been they've done a lot in conference tournaments the past 5 years. I'll give it to them.
All right, so now we're still in the quarterfinals. La Tech, Middle Tennessee.
We barely mentioned Middle Tennessee.
I'm taking Middle Tennessee. I think you guys are. I think we've underrated them too much. I think La Tech they played their 2 best games of the year. They cooled off. They have to wait all the way till Thursday.
Those teams, I'm going with La Tech, but those teams, I was looking at it today. They've played twice, but they haven't played since like January 14th.
Wow!
So it's been 2 months since they've played. But I'll take La Tech. They're playing really good right now.
Didn't they lose the last 2 games of the season? Or they lost last night, right? Give me Middle Tennessee. Let's go. Greater Nashville vibes.
All right. La Tech won the last 2. Middle Tennessee won the last 5. So those are probably the 2 hottest teams coming in. And then what I think is probably, like, if I was telling someone on the outside the game to watch of the first this game, Western Kentucky, Kennesaw, I'm definitely excited about that. I love that this is a 9 p.m. tip. Kids will be in bed. I'll be locked in Thursday night to this. I'm going to take Kennesaw, but this is going to be a fun game to watch.
I got the Owls, and I agree. Whoever wins this game, I think it will be a plan Saturday night.
Yep.
Same. Who do you?
I agree completely with you. I think the winner of this will be in the championship, hopefully playing Liberty. I'm going to take Liberty over Middle Tennessee. This makes me nervous that won so many straight games against Middle Tennessee. Like, I hate that whole do thing. I think that's I don't know, it's just a weird. I know it doesn't.
How'd that work out for Ohio?
It did not work out for Ohio. Well, I mean, if the guy would have made his open runner, it would have worked out for Ohio. But yeah, I'm going to take Liberty obviously over Middle Tennessee. But I think this would be. I think Middle would. I think I'd rather play La Tech, to be honest. I'm with you, Joel. They just beat Liberty. I don't think they're going to beat Liberty twice in 2 weeks. So I'd rather play La Tech, but I'll take Liberty over Middle.
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather play La Tech, but Liberty and La Tech is who I got. And a reminder, this game is at 12:30 Eastern, so on Friday. So make sure you plan that out accordingly. But yeah, I'll take Liberty over La Tech.
Book it.
All right, I have Kennesaw, Jack State. I already said I'm going to take Kennesaw over Jack State.
Yeah, I've got Kennesaw and Sam Houston. I'll go with the Owls.
I think we're looking at a Liberty Kennesaw Conference US. I'm telling you guys, seeing them in person, this team is really good, man.
So what we know for sure is Kennesaw is going to lose to Western since we all put them in the championship. We've done this long enough. We know how this works. So Liberty Kennesaw, yeah, Liberty's gonna win this. I'm gonna do a prediction here. I think Liberty's gonna kind of come out of the gate sluggish against Missouri State, end up winning this by about 10, but you're gonna be nervous for a while. I think Middle's gonna be a final possession game, and then we're gonna beat Kennesaw by 15 in the final.
Let's go.
We all have Liberty winning the whole thing, so
yes.
Why waste the airtime on that?
Well, boys, this was fun. Hopefully, we're doing this a week from today, talking about not Oregon in the NCAA tournament.
Hey, I'll take Oregon this year.
That's true. we'll take this version.
What are they? Everyone's got us at a 12 seed right now. If we were to win, is Conference USA obviously if Missouri State won, but is it pretty much assumed 12 to 13 is where this if it's of a top 3?
I think La Tech would be probably a 14, maybe a 15.
Yeah, I think we're at 12 to 13. We were a solid 12 before these 3 losses, but now I've seen more and more 13s. And
Belmont losing though helps.
It does, but it's interesting. I actually saw who ended up winning that league today. UNI. They have a 22-11 record, but some brackets have them as a 12.
Oh, the bracket matrix has them one spot ahead of Liberty right now,
right next to us. So it's crazy to me, but yeah,
High Point winning was not good.
Yeah, High Point is right ahead of us as well too. So we're right in that 12-13 range, and I think most teams in Conference USA would probably be, maybe a 13. You might have 1 or 2 14s.
Nardi had us versus Tennessee today, is what his most recent was. In Portland.
Yale
out west.
If you want to be a full sicko and think ahead, Yale and Stephen F. Austin would be the teams to root against. Utah Valley as well. Root for someone in those leagues that are not very good to win the league. That would be if both of those teams lost. I think Liberty's probably safe. Yeah, well, they only have to. They do their tournament. They only have the 4. They only have to win 2 games. I think they play on neutrals though, so they don't get home.
Oh, they play the Palestra.
Yeah,
they used to.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Philly, right?
Oh, Philly.
Yeah.
Who is
that for? Like I'm supposed to know every venue in the country.
The Palestra, you know that one. Come on now.
I never played there.
A true Florida boy over here.
It's true.
All right, fellas.
What's the most ideal way ahead of us? What would the most ideal region look like?
There's one in South Carolina.
Greenville?
Is it Greenville?
Yeah.
Is it Buffalo one? That would be good for me, personally.
There's one in Greenville. There's one in Philly. There's one in Tampa. I think those are the closest to Lynchburg.
Yeah, I can make Greenville. It's like 2.5 hours.
You're pretty close to Tampa too, right?
Yeah, just like a quick 8-hour drive.
Oh, really? Wow.
I'm in North Georgia, dude.
North Carolina's on the 5 line. If without,
dude, I cannot believe Auburn's in the last 4 in right now. It's insane,
disgusting,
dude. Insane,
disgusting. Like the whole sport. Like get tournament expansion out of here if they make the tournament. Like that should be the end of it.
No, give me a Vanderbilt, Liberty and Vanderbilt 5-12. Let's go.
Yeah,
I'm down for that.
Give me a team that doesn't have a ton of experience. Yeah, I'm behind that.
All right, this time next week, boys.
Let's do it.
Win or lose.
I am not coming on a preview in the NIT. I got too much to do.
Oh, I was so good preview. Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee. Whoever they.
Here's our thoughts about
Middle
La Tech as they
Middle
go
Tennessee,
against,
Tennessee Tech thoughts. Or Texas Tech.
All right. Well, any final thoughts? Have we covered it all?
Best time of the year.
Best time of the year.
Yeah. These are the best couple weeks of the year.
Enjoy the basketball, but just know when the basketball is over, you are in Masters Week. Just keep that in mind.
There you go. Or baseball.
Bet responsibly.
No, let it fly. Let it fly. Your bankroll doesn't start again until November. You
can write off losses.
Yeah. All right. Well, for John Manson, for Joel Vanderpool, Liberty Legend, for Jason Porter Real Estate, covered all of your residential and commercial real estate needs in Lynchburg and beyond. I'm Nick Kirby. Talk again soon. Go Flames.
Flames.
Oh, yeah, I forgot I hit industry.